Welcome to Movie Mavericks, a show where we talk snack about movies. We're still going with that catchphrase? I guess we are. I'm Lamrami Yasha, and with me is my bro, V-Lord. GTC, how you doing, V-Lord?
Doing pretty good.
Yeah, and we've got a nostalgia bomb of an episode for you today, folks. That's right. 2 movies came out last month that had really nostalgic ties. It was like living through the early 2000s all over again. That's right, because within a week of each other, we got Sailor Moon R, The Promise of the Rose, and Yu-Gi-Oh! The Dark Side of Dimensions in theaters, and we saw them both. And today, we're gonna talk about them. First off, why don't we begin with the movie we saw first, that came out first. Sailor Moon R, The Promise of the Rose. Now, V-Lord, what do you think of this movie? What is your history with Sailor Moon, and how do you feel like this movie did a good job presenting the franchise as its first theatrical debut?
Well, overall, I thought Sailor Moon R was a very interesting movie. First, I just go over a little bit of history with my own experience with the franchise. I didn't really grow up watching Sailor Moon at all. So my first exposure to it really was the manga about, I'd say, 4 or 5 years ago at this point. And yeah, so pretty much I started with the manga and kind of just read through it that way. So when Crystal came out, I watched that, and then I went back and watched the old anime as well. So compared to a lot of people, I have a very different take on Sailor Moon, I feel, because I don't really have nostalgia per se for Sailor Moon, but I do respect it a lot. I do really like the series overall. And to go particularly into Sailor Moon R, the Sailor Moon R was definitely very much different from what I expected. Going into it, I kind of did not realize that it was directed by the director of Revolutionary Girl Utena.
Kunihiko Ikuhara.
Yeah, so that surprised me right away, and I could kind of tell from just how it was directed. And for its time, considering that this came out even before a lot of the, I'd say, more character-driven portions of the Sailor Moon manga and anime, this was very interesting in how it, kind of delved into that own, inner workings of the characters, trying to flesh them out a bit more, and try to give, other sides to their whole characters overall, which was very interesting.
Yeah, Sailor Moon was always character-driven, but this movie was really interesting in the way it kind of showed us a little more of Mamoru's backstory, and gave us this deep personal... it really showed us how he was dealing with the loss of his parents, and how he's formed his connection with Fiore that kind of got him stew, and that was all really fascinating stuff. I think to backtrack a bit, let's talk a little bit about the theater experiences we had. To start off with, I went to see this at Village East Cinema, who are doing a bang-up job showing anime movies, as always, and they showed this in the big auditorium, Theater 1, which is this huge-ass auditorium, and guess what? The entire thing was packed full. I'm glad when I got there when I did, because if I had gotten just a second too late, I would have not found a seat, probably. That theater was completely full. And what was really cool is that you got people of all ages going to this movie. Yeah, you got us 20-somethings going there, but you saw people taking their kids to the movie. I don't know if the parents were interested in Sailor Moon or the kids were interested, but it was cute to see families going to see this movie. I thought that was adorable. The movie started a little late, but, it's a short movie, so that was okay, and I could always use the time, since I have a bad habit of getting to the theaters just not quite on time. So that was good. And yeah, the crowd was super enthusiastic throughout the whole movie. It was got a lot of laughs from the crowd. Some intentional, but most unintentional. It's a pretty goofy movie with some really weird, silly moments. But there's also some genuine humor in the movie, too, that people did get their laughs at. But it's a movie I feel is really fun as a Sailor Moon fan, but it definitely shows its age in some places, and it definitely shows its Ikuhara-isms in some interesting ways too, which adds to some surrealism at times. But it was a great crowd-going experience. Just one of the most fun crowds that I've seen a movie with. Same with Yu-Gi-Oh!, which we'll talk about later, but yeah. Really good theater-going experience. How about you, V-Lord? Was your theater packed?
No, not at all. My experience theater-wise was very different. I went with 3 of my friends that I knew from high school back in the day. Pretty much we went to our nearby AMC in Southdale, Minnesota. And pretty much the entire screening was empty. Us 4 were the only people inside the theater. And we also got there, like, I think, like, 5-6 minutes late, but luckily there was, like, the behind the voice actors.
Yeah.
Thing at the beginning.
Well, we should talk about that. How did you feel about the behind the voice actors? I thought it was very interesting to see their actors' insights into the characters. Stephanie Shea's insight into how Asagi has changed in this movie was very funny. Especially when you think about it when the line comes up in the film. Like how, earlier on, at the beginning of Sailor Moon, she was like, oh no, who is this guy? Why is she touching my mama? But, like, in this movie, she's, like, calmly going, hey, he's my boyfriend.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was pretty enjoyable from the parts I saw of it. Because obviously I missed, like, half of it. But the cast itself seemed to really enjoy, like, recording the new dub for this film. And overall, it seems that they really care about the characters themselves, which was good to see. Also, I love Ben Diskin as Fiore.
Yeah, he really did. He really sold that character, even during his most ridiculous moments. I can't believe you threw a flower at me. Did you guys laugh at that line like everyone in my theater did? Because
yeah, we laughed at it.
It's supposed to be the big emotional moment, but it sounds so silly, and he sounds like such an over-the-top wimp while saying it. Donna, I listened to the Anime Nostalgia podcast episode on the series, which I highly recommend because they talk about it with much more history with the movie, and they also go a little more in depth than we're going to go with it. But they were complaining about that line and saying, "Oh, I wish they would have changed it to I can't believe you would do this," or why would you do this? But I think that completely misses the charm if they had changed the line. I think, for one thing, that's a very Ikuhara-ish line. It's also a very Sailor Moon-ish line for, like, someone to say. And also, it feels so appropriate with the character and his whole flower motif, too. Like, the flower symbolizes, like, friendship to him. So Mamoru throwing his rose, like, right smack into Fiore's chest, kind of symbolizes the breaking of their friendship. And so he's lost everything he was fighting for at that moment.
It's the breaking of their love. Their love is gone.
Yeah, let's not kid ourselves here. Fiore, he was pretty gay for Mamoru. That was pretty obvious.
Yeah.
It went beyond friendship, and this is an Ikuhara thing, so I feel pretty confident in assuming that, considering he loves LGBT relationships.
Mm.
Yeah, but Fiore was a pretty interesting villain. I mean, he was more entertaining because he was just really over the top, but, like, he's like a jealous ex-boyfriend, and that's what makes him so enjoyable. Like, basically Sailor Moon and Fiore are fighting over him, or, like, his current girlfriend versus his ex, and that's a really hilarious angle to think about the movie. And I just love that aspect of it. And he acts like it too, and that's just another part of why I love how over the top his character is. Like, I love in his introduction, he's like, he dramatically shoves Sailor Moon to the ground. And it's like everyone acts like it's so dramatic and like, oh my god!
Oh
It's
no,
like-
Usagi got pushed. She's totally not been beat up way worse by monsters. But the push is too much.
I love how overdramatic it is, especially since like the characters gets beat up so much worse later on in the movie, and it's not emphasized as badly. Like they get wrecked by Fiore later on in the film. Like I think Sailor Jupiter gets thrown into a telephone booth. Like some of them get crashed into buildings. Like they get wrecked. It got pretty violent in the middle, which was pretty interesting because I don't remember the Sailor Scouts like getting that kind of physical damage or like their environment's getting that physically damaged as much in the show or manga. So that was really interesting to see in this movie as well.
Yeah.
One thing, while I enjoyed the voice cast interview thing, I mean, I wasn't totally fond of the make up Sailor Moon like recap thing before the start of the movie. At the same time, though, I appreciate Viz putting it there because that's how it was done in the original Japanese screening of the movie. Like that short precedes the movie. So it's cool that they dubbed it, because this is the first time that short has been dubbed. But it is just kind of like a recap of stuff that, you know, I feel most people who went into the movie had already known, like the backstories of the characters.
And Sailor V's isn't even canon.
Yeah. But it's an awesome backstory though, so
yeah.
I enjoyed it. Because it's so dramatic. It's like, in a way, I love Sailor Venus is probably my favorite Sailor Scout, or Sailor Guardian, or whatever, but her backstory is just it's like so over the top to the point of being hilarious to me in the anime. Cause, especially with the way the short presents it. It's like kind of a melodrama.
At first, I kind of forgot that she had a different backstory in the original anime. I'm just like, wait, what? What? She's from England. There's all this dramatic stuff about her being dead. What the heck?
Honestly, I would totally watch that series though. They should make a reboot of Codename Sailor V, showing her adventures as a police detective in London. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that would actually be pretty interesting.
But yeah, I mean, the best part of that short were just the interactions between Usagi and Chibiusa, because they have a great dynamic in the anime that I think I underappreciated a long time ago, but like they're hilarious with each other. So like every time like Chibiusa was like, Usagi, you're embarrassing yourself. And like Usagi was getting excited, oh, those girls are gonna talk about me next, but then they talk about someone else, and Chibiusa's like smirking to herself. Like those moments are all freaking hilarious. If I have one other complaint about that short, it's just that the background girls who were talking, they didn't have distinct voices, so it was kind of confusing sometimes, like to know who was talking. Honestly, all the girls had kind of similar voices in that. Sailor Moon Usagi and those two girls had kind of similar voices, so it was hard to kind of pick apart at times. But, you know, I did enjoy it for the Usagi Chibiusa moments. It just is a little annoying at the time, because you went through the 10-minute, like, cast interview, and now you're going through this 15-minute recap, so you're like, but when is the movie gonna start? And, like, I felt the crowd was getting a little frustrated, too. I think one person thought the movie was over after the recap thing and left.
What?
Yeah, poor her. She missed the part where Sailor Moon says, hey, keep watching, you know?
I mean, it's 15 minutes. I mean, you'd think that they'd expect it to be longer.
Yeah.
It's an hour and like, most theaters were listing it as an hour and a half, because it's 60 minutes then. 60
minutes plus the 10-minute cast interview plus the 15-minute short.
Yeah, that's kind of strange that they just left.
Yeah.
Maybe it was just so bad that they just wanted to leave. They didn't even want the movie anymore.
The short didn't look as good as the movie did. Like, I don't think that they upscaled it a bunch. Like, it definitely looked a lot wavier, and you could, and also you saw the limitations of the TV animation since it was just a recap special. The movie itself, though, had some pretty choice animation moments at times, with the exception of that CG seed thing, which looked like it was out of a PlayStation 1 game. You know, the seed comet planet?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was like something out of a PlayStation 1 game. That definitely showed its age, but, you know, it was an early 90s movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, one thing I just really appreciate about the movie, just now going into the movie, is Ikuhara's direction. Like, his presentation just makes a lot of things just so entertaining and interesting to me, which is why I really enjoy his shows. I really love how, like, when, you know, Mamoru is, like, stabbed, we have this really, like, violent red, like, background with these silhouettes, and it's all flipped upside down, because it's, like, Sailor Moon's world, and Fiore's world is, like, turned upside down at that moment. Like, it's really cool stuff like that I really love.
Oh, yeah, I love those moments.
Yeah, so there was really cool directing, really cool animation moments. I think I feel like the main appeal of the movie, though, was just how, like, unintentionally hilarious it could be. Like, when Artemis was, like, saying, "Hey, everyone, come over here. Look at the computer." And he's, like, typing for, like, a few seconds. Everyone in the theater laughed at that. Like, they just laughed at Artemis, like, typing on the computer. Yeah, it's like, it's just these really... I mean, I love just some... The movie, like, definitely shows his age in some places, so it's unintentionally hilarious at times. But it's also intentionally hilarious in great ways, too. Like, another great Ikuhara-y moment is, like, when Chibiusa is trying to wake Usagi up, and she, like, plugs her nose and puts, like, her hands over her mouth. And it takes, like, a minute or something. Like, it just freezes on that frame for, like, a minute. And then finally Usagi wakes up. But it just goes on.
Oh, yeah.
You wonder if the movie is frozen or something, because it goes on for so long. But,
yeah, like, my friends thought it was frozen at first, like, because nothing's happening on screen.
Yeah. But, like, everyone just, like, you laugh at that at the beginning, and then you wait a while, and then the longer it goes on, you laugh at it again, and then you're like, oh wait, is the movie frozen? But then just when you think that, Sailor Moon wakes up, and it's like, oh, you got me, movie. It was a great moment. That's, like, one of the most memorable moments. But this movie is full of memorable moments, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, pound for pound, it doesn't waste its runtime. It does a lot. I don't think there's anything I necessarily didn't like about the movie. In terms of plot, it does feel like kind of like how most people describe it. It is like just an hour-long episode of the TV show. It's a pretty good one. And I appreciate, like, more Mamoru backstory, and the fact that, like, he's actually useful for once, because he saves Sailor Moon by throwing the rose into Fiore at the end.
He's not the damsel in distress this time.
Yes, he is.
And well, yeah, he is. Crap. Oh.
He got fucking kidnapped again. Like he always does. I think they even joke about that he got kidnapped again.
Oh yeah, they did.
One thing I noticed is that, like, when they were having the conversation of, like, how all the guys are into Mamoru, too, and, like, they're asking Sake, hey, is Mamoru bi? And she was like, I don't know. And they were like, well, you know, it's okay. I know plenty of people who, in my school, are in that sort of relationship. It's like, I don't know, something about the delivery was so weird. But, it also was the fact that it was, and I confirmed this, like, later on, that this kind of just added that in to the dub that wasn't in the original. The entire part about, like, oh, there are kids in my school and sort of that sort of relationship, like, that whole normalizing of it was completely absent in the original. But I appreciate that they added it in. It's just that, like, the delivery was kind of unintentionally hilarious. So, like, everyone...
It sounded like it was trying to be, like, one of those it's okay to be gay PSAs.
Yeah. That's another moment where everyone in the theater was, like, laughing. There's some strange, weird throwaway lines in the movie, too. Like, during that same sequence, like, towards the end, Marcus just suddenly goes, "Oh, did I tell you guys about the guy who broke my heart?" And it's like, what? That came out of nowhere. That was a weird moment, too. But, yeah, there's a good humor in this movie, really. Like, from the beginning, where, like, the Sailor Scouts are, like, trolling Usagi, like, with the caterpillar instead of Mamoru. And, like, she's like, "You guys are the worst. What the heck?" Like, to the very end, like, the movie's just full of great comedic moments. Oh, I could go on and on about them, because there's so many memorable moments in the movie. But I think, aside from the ones you just mentioned, what were some of your other favorite moments in this movie, Wheeler?
You listed a lot of them. Let me see here, is there anything else? I really like all those, like, little flashback moments, like, throughout the film. Especially the ones where that are focusing on Mamoru's backstory, and then also kind of his relationship with Fiore. And even the one at the end where it's like they reveal, like, oh, Usagi was kind of a central reason why Mamoru gave Fiore the rose and all that. I felt that it all, like, tied together very well.
Yeah, I mean, I found it kind of corny, the ending reveal that Usagi was the one who gave Mamoru the rose. But it was also sweet in a way, too. Like, cause they're cute little kids. Like, aw, they were destined to be together. That's adorable. But, yeah, it's kind of interesting. Both this and the next movie we're going to talk about, they both have to deal with moving on and a sense of and dealing with a sense of loss, which is pretty interesting. But overall, I think the theme of this movie is just, like, what Sailor Moon means to her friends and what, like, real friendship really is. Like, it's not this possessive thing that Fiore wants. Like, he kind of wants to own Mamoru and keep him to himself. But, like, what Sailor Moon's relationships with her friends are like is, like, she brought these group of people who are all, like, alone together. And, like, she's, like, the central figure that, like, keeps all of them together. And not only that, but, like, she's just naturally kind to everyone. She's just looks at the bright side of their personalities and characters. Like, with Mako, despite her reputation as being this, like, violent tug, like, she was just interested in, what's in your lunchbox? Oh, wow, you're a really good cook. Like, she didn't, like, care about her reputation at all, and now she was like that for the other scouts, too. Like, she just interested in what was, like, great about them, and she just sees the best in everyone. And that's kind of what Sailor Moon, as a character, really is. Like, she sees the best in everyone, and she forgets, like, everyone for the bad things they do, and that's kind of how most of the villains get defeated, really. Fiore being no exception.
Yeah, I mean, this movie kind of felt like it kind of felt like the Dreams arc before the Dreams arc existed.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, like I mentioned before, it focuses a lot more on, like, the relationship between the Sailor Guardians and kind of their own, like, purpose within being heroes. I really like that about the movie.
Yeah, so I think it's pretty safe to say that the core theme of this movie is the friendship that bonds the Sailor Scouts together, and, like, how that allows them to transcend their own, like, weaknesses and their own, like, fears and like, face and confront, like, powerful foes, because alone they probably couldn't do it alone, but, like, together they can, like, really pretty much save the world and stuff. And, like, they're really good moments in that regard. Like, when Usagi's like, "No, I can't sacrifice you guys. to beat Fiore, and like Ray is like, "You coward," but like she's just crying and saying, "Sorry, you guys mean too much to me," and I just thought that was a really sweet moment. That speaks to the strength of her character. Like Usagi has the anime personality in this movie of like being like over the top and more of a crybaby than she was in a manga, but like she also demonstrates her best like strengths too in this movie, which I really appreciate. Like. You got a good, like, three-dimensional view of her character, which was really nice to see. I mean, they lay it on a little thick at points, like Chibiusa saying, Sailor Moon is a mother to us all, which is also kind of an unintentionally hilarious line, because Sailor Moon is her mother, but... Yeah, and also, of course, you know, they like explicitly talk about the power of friendship and stuff in the movie too, which, you know, can get a little corny at times as well. But overall, I like the message of the movie. I like what it was saying about the characters. I like the insights into Mamoru's character and how he was presented, because he kind of gets a better presentation here than he does in most Sailor Moon media, because not only is his backstory and relationships with both Fiore and Sailor Moon essential to the plot, but he also does help in saving the day at the end, which was pretty nice to see, even though Mamoru is not necessarily a character I've always been the most interested in. So I appreciate the movie expanding on his character a lot more and like giving him a lot more to do.
Yeah, for sure.
Don't think there's too much more thematically to cover in the movie, because it's a pretty simple movie in terms of the friendship and contrasting Sailor Moon and Fiore's ideas of friendship, and also like contrasting them in terms of like how they approach relationships and love as well. Like Sailor Moon is like more comfortable in her relationship with Tuxedo Mask, whereas Fiore is, like, gets really possessive and, like, wants him, like, all to himself. So, you know, there were some interesting angles to look at the movie at. So I think we can basically move on to Yu-Gi-Oh! At this point, unless you have anything else to add. Though I will mention one of my other favorite scenes, like, Chibiusa is a treasure in this movie. Like, she like, had so many great scene-stealing moments. Like, when she was left behind with the other scouts, ran off to, like, confront the zombie people, like, and she was falling behind, and she was like, "You're all heartless!" And then, of course...
The gun scene?
Yes, that's what I was building up to. I love the fact that they brought back Chibiusa's gun. And, like, she shoots, like, this, good luck arrow at her? Like, this...
Yeah, it's like this good luck you can do it thing.
Yeah, this dart with a flag is, like, this really over-the-top moment that is so Ikuhara, but also so Sailor Moon, and it's also so Chibiusa. I love Chibiusa is, like, amazing. I love her character. Like, she has a great character arc, but she's also just really funny and awesome in this movie, too. Just as a supporting character.
Mm.
And, yeah, she's my daughter. Okay, I guess we're gonna pause on that for a moment. Do you have anything else to say about Sailor Moon?
No, not really. I think we've covered all the bases.
Yeah. Sailor Moon R, Promise of the Rose, really fun movie. Pound for pound, worth your while, especially if you're a longtime Sailor Moon fan. And I highly recommend picking it up when they put it out on Blu-ray, which I think the Blu-ray is coming out later in March or something. So yeah, pick it up. Pretty fun movie. I heard from most people that it's the best Sailor Moon movie. I'd wonder about that. I mean, it's a pretty fun movie. I wouldn't say it's amazing, but like I still think it's really a really fun time for a Sailor Moon fan. But I'm interested in watching the other movies too. I haven't seen the other movies. And I'm kind of hoping when Wiz dubs them, they also give them theatrical screenings, because, yeah, I would definitely go to those.
Yeah, I think this one did pretty well for Viz, so hopefully we'll see the other
Yeah, I mean, your theater might have been empty, Warren, but my theater was so full that they scheduled another screening for 2 p.m., and apparently that was so full that they've scheduled another screening for today as well, even though the movie was only supposed to be in theaters for 1 week.
I mean, to be fair, like, my theater was only going to show it on one day, on, like, Thursday. But then I think that did so well that they, like, added, like, 20 more screenings.
Wow. So even though your screening, when the screening you went to was so empty, it was doing well at other times, it seems.
Yeah, I'm sure the initial screening was probably packed.
So I think that, yeah, obviously Sailor Moon is, like, one of the big franchises that everyone knows as far as anime goes. Like, it and Dragon Ball and Pokemon and Digimon. So I think that, you know, I think Viz has a pretty good, safe bet when it comes to releasing these movies and having them do well. So I'm kind of hoping they continue to give them theatrical releases, because I will go to every one of them. Because it was a really fun time, and I'm a big Sailor Moon fan. So, you know, another thing I really have to appreciate about this movie is that it really makes me want to go back and watch Sailor Moon dubbed, particularly R Forward, because I'm not the biggest fan of the first season, but R Forward, like, I might do that sometime in the summer, because, like, man, I really was on a Sailor Moon kick after that movie. Like, I really was thinking about Sailor Moon a lot, and I was like, man, I should go watch some more Sailor Moon. So that's why I'm excited for the Dreams arc getting animated later this year in Crystal. Cause, like, the Chiaki-Kon directed, season last year was really good. So, I'm expecting the new season though to be really good too.
Hopefully she's back as the director.
Yeah, like, the faces in animation in that season were just awesome. But, yeah. Sailor Moon R, highly recommended.